Good morning, everyone. It's a joy reaching out to you at your home by teaching online. It seems that everybody is ready for another exciting day. As I see, the screen is flooded with names from different schools here in Valenzuela. Now it becomes a habit to wake up early and be ready for another learning journey. So, get your gadgets, and if you are ready, let's get the ball rolling. I want to start with something to ponder. A gentleman is someone who does not what he wants to do, but what he should do. By Haruki Murakami. For today's lesson, I will take you to the world of modals. I will guide you as we rediscover the meaning and its uses. For today's session, we will be focusing on this most essential learning competency. Use modal verbs, nouns, and adverbs appropriately. While these are our specific objectives, identify modal verbs in sentences. Explain the uses of modal verbs. Use modal verbs appropriately in context. We will use the alternative delivery mode prepared by Dr. Catherine G. Degula of Parada National High School about modal verbs. As I take you in today's learning journey, we will deal the lesson using different stages. First stage is the what I know. This part includes an activity that aims to check what you already know about the lesson. What's new? In this stage, the new lesson will be introduced to you in a short activity to activate your skills for the discussion. What is it? This stage aims to help you discover and understand new concepts and skills. It provides a brief discussion of the lesson. What I have learned. This includes the lessons and concept learned during short discussion. There are also questions or blank sentences, paragraphs to be filled in to process what you learned from the lesson. What's more, comprises activities for independent practice to solidify your understanding and skill of the topic. You may check the answer to the exercises as your discussion teacher gives you the answers. Last, but definitely not the least, the assessment. This is a task which aims to evaluate your level of mastery in achieving the learning competency. Using your module, additional activities will be given to you to enrich your knowledge and skill of the lesson learned. And these are the activities that you are going to do with your discussion teacher. Everything is set. So let's start. Let's find out, how much do you know about modals? What I know. Choose the letter that you think best answers the question. I will give you 5 seconds for each number. You may write your answer on a piece of paper, or you may type or key in your answers in our comment box. We will check the answer right after the given 5 seconds. If you are ready, let's start. Number 1. I think your neck is broken. You blank go to the emergency room. A might, B could, C ought to, D can. The answer for number 1 is letter C, ought to. I think your neck is broken. You ought to go to the emergency room. Number 2, John's fallen down the stairs. I blank call an ambulance. A will, B might, C may, D ought to. Number 2, the answer is A will. John's fallen down the stairs. I will call an ambulance. Number 3, children blank be accompanied by an adult at the zoo. A ought to, B must, C would, D must not. Number 3 is letter B, must. Children must be accompanied by an adult at the zoo. Number 4, they blank hear him because he was whispering. A wouldn't, B must not, C couldn't, D shouldn't. The answer is letter C, couldn't. They couldn't hear him because he was whispering. Number 5, blank, I speak to the principal, please. A must, B may, C would, D need. Number 5 is letter B, may. May I speak to the principal, please? It seems you are enjoying the activity. Did you get them all correct? Very good. That means you still remember what modal verbs are. If not, it means you need to listen very well to understand them better. What's new? This time, I would like you to rewrite the following sentences using modals that shows the same meaning. Let me do the first one as an example. I suggest that you get a good lawyer. Following the given instructions, the answer will be, you should get a good lawyer. Now, I want you to work on the 2 remaining sentences. I will give you 10 seconds to do that. And your time starts now. Let's see if you got it right. Number 1 is, perhaps my father will pick you up. It will be, my father might pick you up. Sentence number 2, eating is forbidden in the class. It must be, you mustn't eat in class. What is it? Let's try to look at the sentence once again. What did you notice with the sentence? Take a look at sentence number 1. My father might pick you up. What happened to the base form of the verb? Did it change? No. Between the subject and the verb, what can you find? Might. What do you call that word? Very good. You call it modal verbs. What are modal verbs? Modal verbs are auxiliary verbs that provide additional and specific meaning to the main verb of the sentence. Here are the most common modal verbs. Can, could, may, might, must, shall, should, ought to, will, and would. Let me explain them one by one with a given example sentence. Can, cannot, can't shows ability to do something. In formal situation, it expresses permission, meaning you are allowed to do something. It also shows possibility. It means the action is theoretically possible. It also expresses willingness. In the negative, it shows inability or impossibility. Example, can I go out tonight? Could or couldn't shows ability in the past. It expresses permission or willingness in a more polite form. It also identifies possibility in the present and in the future. It depends on the present action. It can also use to make requests and suggestions. Example, I could already read when I was 3. May is used in formal situations to express permission and possibility in the present and future. Example, may I leave the table? Might has the same function as may. It also expresses permission and possibility in the present, future, and past. Example, it might rain tomorrow. Must or must not makes conjecture, but with some certainty. It also expresses command in more respectful way. It is used in similar contexts to should and ought to, but with external obligation. It can also express prohibition in negative form. Example, you must leave before the clock strikes 12. Shall is used to form polite questions. That includes polite requests or permission. It can also be used for offering someone help, suggestion, advice, or for asking what to do. Example, you shall pay on Tuesday. Should or shouldn't conveys the idea of an obligation or makes suggestion. Example, you should talk to your teacher about your school activities. Ought to is using the same idea as should, but with stronger sense of obligation or intensity. Example, you ought to go to the doctor. Will or won't shows willingness or interest. It expresses intention and make predictions. It also used to reassure someone or help them to make decision, to make a semi-formal request, to show habitual behavior, or to make a promise. Example, I will see you tomorrow. Would or wouldn't expresses willingness. It also used for asking permission, making requests, and to express preferences. It can be used to talk about the past or a situation that depends upon another action. Example, would you like a drink? Now that you know their meaning and what they express, the question is, how do we use modals? First, we have the subject, followed by the modals, then the main verb. Let's have an example. Mary could play the piano. Mary as the subject, could is the modal in the past, and play is the main verb in the given sentence. Modals in the past are modals referred to an action that happened in the past. We also have modal plus have plus verb in the past participle. Example, they should have invited her to their wedding. In the given sentence, They is the subject, should is the modal used, followed by an auxiliary verb have, then invited is the past participle verb in the sentence. We can use the given table to understand it better and to facilitate you more in understanding modals. In the first column shows modal perfect. The second column shows its uses. And in the third column, we have some examples. Must have plus the past participle. Uses logical conclusion on a past event. Example, Peter has arrived late. He must have been in traffic jam. Might have plus past participle. Uses deduction on a past event. Example, Joe might have taken the wrong train. Could have plus the past participle. Uses possibility to do something gone unfulfilled. Example, you could have played better. More examples are presented on your learning pocket. Your discussion teacher may also ask you to read it to have a wider understanding of the modal verbs. For now, let's proceed with the next stage. What I have learned. To sum up what we have discussed, the following facts about modals were noted. Number 1, modals are different from other verbs because they don't take an S, ed, or ing ending. Example, he can drive, not he can't drive. Number 2, modals are different from other verbs because we don't use an infinitive after a modal. We use the base form. Example, he wants to leave. He must leave. Number 3, to form the negative, we put not after the modal. Example, he should not drive. Number 4, some verbs are like modals in meaning. Can and be able to shows the same meaning. Example, he can pay the rent is the same as he is able to pay the rent. Now, let me find out if you really understand what transpired in our lesson today. Be ready with your pen and paper for this activity. I want you to do the following sentences with the most appropriate modal verbs. You may choose your answer inside the parentheses. You are given 5 seconds for each number. Are you ready? Let's begin. Number 1, could, may, blank, you open the window a bit, please? Number 2, I'm sorry, but you can't, may, blank, use the computer until I've finished. Number 3, could, may, blank, I have a glass of water. Number 4, we must, can't, blank, turn left to reach Valenzuela. Number 5, I should have, couldn't have, phoned you, but I was busy. Number 6. Jaisal must have, couldn't have, blank done her work well, but her mother had no support. Now let's check. Please be honest in checking your answers. Let's start with number 1. Could. Could you open the window a bit, please? Number 2. Can't. I'm sorry, but you can't use the computer until I've finished. Number 3. May. May I have a glass of water? Number 4. Must. We must turn left to reach Valenzuela. Number 5. Should have. I should have phoned you, but I was busy. Number 6. Could have. Jaisal could have done her work well, but her mother had no support. Did you get all the correct answers? Good job! If not, it's all right. I know that you can do better on the next activity. As I discuss the topic for today, I know that you have questions in mind. You may type or key in the questions or concern. I will answer them as much as I can. Our teacher moderator will be gathering them all. I will give you 1 minute to type or key in your questions. Your 1 minute starts now. Let me read the first question handed to me by our moderator. The question is from Parada National High School. The question is, what is the importance of learning the uses of modal verbs? Interesting question. There is a great significance in learning the modal verbs. In speaking, we have what we call manner in language. Modal verbs most of the time shows politeness and expresses the specific meaning of what we say, like asking for permission, expressing our willingness, ability, obligation, and possibility. Learning when and how to use the modal verbs help us to express and convey what we really mean when speaking and even in writing. That makes our communication clear. For the second question, coming from Citero Francisco Memorial National High School, the question is it true that some modal shows politeness or respect? The question is related to our first question. Filipinos are known for being polite or magalang. This is the reason why we tend to use modal verbs often. Using modals expresses respect. Instead of saying it in a straightforward manner, we use the correct modal verbs. For example, Ma'am, may I go out? This is far better than just saying, Mom, I'm going out. The next question is from Dalandanan National High School. The question is, can we use double or two modals in one sentence? This is a tough one. People use double modals in natural speech most of the time, but grammarians prohibit this. For linguists, it's acceptable as they are interested in how people actually speak, not in how they should speak. For example, I might can jump. It shows the possibility that you have the ability to jump. But in standard English, you would express this as, I might be able to jump. I know there are still more questions left unanswered. Don't worry, because your discussion teacher will answer those questions during your follow-up discussion. For more activities to further understand the modal verbs, we have what's more. You will be asked to do the following activities on your learning packet. Activity 1, modal verbs of ability and permission on page 18. You will be asked to underline and use one of the modal verbs in the parentheses to fill in the gaps. Activity 2, modal verbs of possibility, obligation, advice, and offer on page 19. You will need to write in the box before the number the type of modal verbs to be used. Lastly, for the assessment, you will be asked to read an article on page 21, in which you will need to complete the sentences in the paragraph using the correct modal verbs. Now that everything is clear, you're now ready for another follow-up discussion with your corresponding teachers. Again, let us continue to support the city government of Valenzuela and DepEd Valenzuela's Better Cry. Anuman ang sitwasyon, tuloy ang edukasyon. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day and keep safe, everyone.